Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsessions
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Cation, and you are listening to the Dork Forest. The website's JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, thedorkforest.com if you like a determiner. Let's do the credits. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio and video. Vilmos works on JackieCation.com, and Mike Ruekberg sang the song with his wife, Sarah. He composed it, and he will sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of this show. Thank you so much for listening to the Dork Forest. Here's a scoop. I'm doing stand-up online. A lot of Zoom shows will eventually go back on the road. Sign up for my email list. It's easy to get off. It's harder to get on than it is to get off. And no harm, no foul. If ever bored, JackieCation.com, sign up for the email list. You'll find out about my weekly Zoom shows and stand up on the road eventually. You may donate to the show if you would like. I would like. Sure, I would. There's PayPal, Jackie at JackieCation.com, and there is a PayPal button on both DorkForest.com and JackieCation.com. And there's Venmo, if you like Venmo, Jackie-Cation, oddly enough. If you have listened to all of the shows, go to dorkforest.bandcamp.com, I think. The Dork Forest has a Bandcamp page. You can listen to a lot of ones that are free from pre-2009 when I started pre-recording. And then there's live episodes that cost me a couple of bucks, so I charge you a couple of bucks. There's also some stand-up. There's a story album that's very exciting there. And other than that, I have a lot of merch in my garage. Feel free to order if you know anybody who doesn't have any CDs or the DVD. And you can follow me everywhere at Jackie Cation. Let's get into the show. Hi, Jackie Cation. I am in my garage, and you are clearly in your home, Kyle Ayers. But he is a delight, you guys. You guys should know Kyle Ayers, because he is good people. And let the dorkdom begin. But Ayers is spelled Ayers.
Yes.
And am I saying it right? God knows. I didn't check.
You're saying it. It happens some way. AIRS is generally how I tell people, like the plural of air.
Oh, like Ayers?
Yeah.
Kyle Ayers?
Yeah.
I ethnicked it up, like people will often do with a Cashian or a Cashian.
Yeah.
They slow your roll. Just Ayers.
Yeah.
Kyle Ayers, everybody. And it's at Kyle Ayers on everything. And he has a new album out that was recorded pre-pandemic, but still outside, you tell me.
Yeah, recorded it actually at Good Heroin, the show back in the back of Echo Park. Yes.
Behind the bookstore. Nice.
It's one of the few albums that you will hear someone literally skateboard through the recording.
Dude, and it's called Happiness, and you should find it on all the things. And who put it out? What's the label?
It's with Blonde Medicine.
Blonde Medicine, Dominic Del Bene, ladies and gentlemen.
Dominic Del Bene, what a great guy, what a great group of people. They did a really fun thing for me where I wanted, like old records used to have lyrics inserts with them. I have a lyrics insert in my vinyl, and it is every word I say on the album typed out in a 12-page color pamphlet. And boy, does Dominic and everyone at Blonde Medicine deserve praise, because I didn't type it out.
No. I have transcripts of all of my albums, but that's so that when I do a new album, I can actually just word search to see if it's on a previous, because I talk about sort of the same topics over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because like the next album, if and when it ever happens, please God. Anyway, I need a vaccine. So, but here's the thing: is I have this weird, like, it's gonna sound dumb, but I have like this weird internet dating condom hitting on guys kind of how I hit on guys joke.
Sure.
That is from the last album that will be on this album as well, just as a little throwaway before the new joke that goes after it. And there will be someone, possibly even a fan of this podcast, who says, did you know that you repeated that in the two? And I'll be like, yeah, I was there.
The thing with me repeating it is I said it.
And I get a transcript. Oh, I always get some, you know what I do? It isn't particularly, I mean, it's fine. I usually get some feature who needs a couple $100 to listen to my album and type it out.
That's okay. I mean, it's
they
a fun
need a couple $100.
I want someone to I think it'd be fun to run a show where everyone reads my jokes. I think that'd be a fun thing to do with the lyrics insert and watch if I have anything to do with it or my delivery has anything to do with it. I don't know whether I'd be flattered if they bomb or if I would be concerned if they bomb.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You could be flattered if they bomb because then it's all personality, my friend.
It's like, wow, Kyle really goes up there and sells this stuff.
Yeah, it's so it's called Happiness, and people can find it everywhere. And
Yes.
other than that, it's at Kyle Ayers on all the things.
Yeah.
And you do shows with Dave Ross, who was on, telling me about how much he likes the Zelda. That was his.
Oh, really?
For us. Yes.
Yeah. So Dave and I run a stream show, which is where it's at now, where we try and it's called Awful Level League, and we try and make the worst video game levels possible and make the other person play our custom levels. So, like in games where you can make your own thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We've been playing Super Smash Brothers and been making the worst possible levels to fight each other in. And then people who are watching can also play against us in our awful levels.
So much work.
Well, I will make one during the stream. That way I force myself to only spend like the 2 minutes on it. And usually mine are just a big funnel where everyone just gets hurt or like all your characters fall. But sometimes Dave, he even said on the stream last night, he was like, I can't believe how much fun your levels are. I spend all day on these. And I was like,
God.
well, it's, that seems to be how it goes sometimes.
And then do you push it to Twitch or?
Yeah, we're on Twitch. It's at kyleprimevideo.com.
There you go. And now you know.
Trying to ride the Bezos curtails with the Prime Video.
Oh, Prime Video, Kyle Prime Video. That's great. My TikTok has blown up. It turns out that's what everyone's been waiting for me to be on.
Are you really doing it?
Yeah.
I just started. I posted some jokes when my album came out.
Yeah.
Like after I did Conan about a week before the pandemic, and then my album came out during it. So I kind of thought I'd post jokes then, and the stand-up does so well. And then I tried posting one other video, and it was like 6. And I was like, I got 100,000 on this joke. Did no one follow me from this?
Yeah, almost all of them are like 50,000, except for the ones where I'm talking to people. Those are 5,000. And then one joke is at 1.3 million.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? Who did I? And then somebody told me, they said, you found Book Talk. And I was like, there's Book Talk? And it's like, yeah, it's TikTok for people who read and want to talk about books. And I did my spooky reading girl bit. And how sad is it that I discontinued the t-shirt? I still have the enamel pins, Rangers. I gotta get rid of those. They're in my closet.
Yeah, so many of my jokes are so much longer than a minute. And then someone was like, well, just cut a little bit of it. And I did that once, and it got like 5,000 in a day. Yeah. And it's like, oh, they were right. I don't have to be such a perfectionist it's like volume shooting on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, I do one a day. And it usually, it's an hour and a half of my life trying to, first of all, because my jokes, I am the wordy jokesmith. And the wordy jokesmith has to go, stay tuned. This story continues.
I know. 1 minute into the setup, you're just taking a big breath and like, okay, but everybody.
It's like, I'm like, or you could just fucking go to YouTube. But here we go.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. I mean, and I got a lot of fun, whatever. This is not your dorkdom. This is me obsessed with my phone these days.
That's okay. You wouldn't be alone in that.
It's true. There's a lot of this. But you have a band that I thought you were talking about a thrift store. So I don't know anything about music. Is it okay? It's called St. Vincent.
Yes. So yes,
that is a band, or is it a guy?
It is a one woman, and her name is Annie Clark. It is a band. She is the front person to this band, and basically the identity to the band. Whereas everyone else could be kind of an interchangeable touring member of the band. She is the front member, and music that I've just been obsessed with since I found out that she and this music existed, which I guess would have been mid-aughts.
Okay, like 2005, 2006?
Like a little bit late. Yeah, 7, 8, I guess, mid-late aughts for me. So that's like my late college years. Those are like the back half of me being in college.
Okay, and where is this band from? Are they from here, Los Angeles?
She is from Dallas, Texas. I think she's from Oklahoma but she's based musically out of Dallas, or at least that's where she started music.
And her name is Annie Clark.
Annie Clark.
All right, and is this guitar rock? Is it heavy metal? Is it emo?
I would sort of call it
rap?
I don't really know the best rock. It's the closest. This thing happens lots of times where people don't think there's rock music anymore. You know, like the wrong generation people who are like, I wish I was born in the 60s so I could have. And it's like you can still listen to that and all the new stuff. That's what's cool is the internet.
Yeah. It's amazing.
She is, I guess, rock, indie rock.
Does she have a guitar?
Pop. She has a guitar. She is like I equate. I don't do this comparison lightly, but she reminds me of Prince because she is a front person who sings, who is unique, who is a songwriter. But then when it comes to actually playing guitar, you're like, oh, low key. She's also better than everyone at that. And that's because lots of people didn't equate Prince with being Eric Clapton or all of these like savant, but he's better than all of them.
Right. He's an amazing guitarist as well.
Yes.
As
so
being
I put her in a similar vein.
Okay, so she has she like a triple threat. Like she has all she's writing the music, she's also performing the music, she's the front person to the band.
A good way to sort of dive in with the kind of music she's playing is she released an album with David Byrne, and so that's kind of, if you think of her as a little bit more progressive rocker version of kind of what he was doing.
David Byrne, Talking Heads?
Yes.
Thank you. Jackification for the win. Well played.
Most of my life I confused him and David Lynch for one another, and they just feel like two sides of the same entertainment coin. And maybe our names shouldn't be so similar.
Right. That is exactly why you have literally. Yes, I am not good. I have. I've done worse things, which is when I mixed up David Bowie and the other blonde guy who made his fist go at the screen. And
I'm not sure who you're talking about now. It's the guy from Rocky IV. Ivan Drago.
No, he's nice work pulling that guy's name out of thin air.
I'm sure somewhere his ears just perked up.
Right, he was like, "Oh, I'm still on somebody's radar," and it's just my comparisons are usually bad. So it's but David Byrne is the front man for U2, and she did work with him.
Yeah.
Right?
She did work with the Talking Heads. She did work with David Byrne, the Talking Heads singer.
Yes.
But kind of in that sort of like indie into rock type of music, not too like airy or anything, just sort of real good. And what I guess what I don't know why I don't want to go too far past some complete tangent that I do want to talk about because you're in Los Angeles, correct?
Right.
Everyone's kind of, some people have displaced during all of this, so you want to check. Before we get too far from David Lynch being in our conversation, what I should have put in as my dorkdom is David Lynch reading the weather in Los Angeles. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Every single day on his YouTube channel, the man who made Mulholland Drive gives the weather report for Los Angeles and then gives song recommendations for people to, and he has such a distinct voice. And this is, one of the more, he's like the most Los Angeles person I could possibly think of, David Lynch, where he's like
a bit
an
of a
art
caricature.
house cartoon.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's sunny today, 64 degrees, some wind. This reminds me of a jazz song I heard in a basement 64 years ago. Here's who sings it. And it's really pleasant. And he does it, and then it goes on NPR. They like play the audio from it as their actual weather report, and it makes me happy to be in Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh! And this is on his YouTube channel.
David Lynch, who once again the person who made Twin Peaks, on David Lynch's YouTube channel, he reads the weather every day. And there was recently a small bit of drama where he was thinking about stopping, and then everyone commented, "Please don't." And he made a video where he's like, "The comments are so nice," which is unique to him on YouTube.
Right.
And he's like, I'll keep doing it. And I was like, how did I get caught up in this drama?
Right. How old is David Lynch for these days?
Couldn't even he could be anywhere from 60 to 95, and 80, I would believe 100.
You. Yeah. It's funny about David Lynch. I always think, I don't always get David Lynch, but I know that what he's doing is more interesting than I am. Like I'll be watching it and I'll be like, I see. I'm not.
Yeah.
This wasn't entirely made for me, but I love what you're doing.
It's usually my favorite movie or TV show I've seen that year, or I dislike it. Like, and he's what I really love about him. I love anyone that gets to make what they want to make and they swing hard.
Oh,
And
there
that's
you
what I
go.
like. Like, I don't dislike the prequels in the Star Wars franchise because at least George Lucas got to do the thing he wanted to do.
Right.
The older
there
I've
you
gotten,
go.
the more
Yeah.
I've just been like, hey, that guy made the first ones and got to make the rest of what he wanted to do. And yeah, everyone didn't like him, but it's kind of cool he got to make them.
Right. He got to make them. And I'll tell you something, you're entirely right and parts of them are very good.
Yes.
Though I did try to watch Phantom Menace start to finish about a week or so ago, and had to call it at Darth Maul. Had to call it because I like the Darth Maul scene, and that's about it. So,
Yeah.
but
it's a pretty great fight. It's about the best
fight
fight that's ever been in like a fantasy thing. It's real good as far as like a close quarters thing. I really love it. I don't follow I see all of the Star Wars things, but it's not like I've never then folled up to read. But I kind of generally enjoy most of them. The Mandalorian I love.
Sure.
And that I love. Since I saw all the Star Wars later and at the same time, I don't think there's as large a gap for me between the quality of all of them. I'm just like, this is a pretty cool story.
Yeah. And you know what? I can enjoy any number of things that are, it certainly helps with sort of some stories I have to forget that I read the book.
Okay.
And for example, The Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I can enjoy the Lord of the Rings movies if I forget that I ever read the books. And I can go, these are gorgeous. This is a cool story. This looks amazing. These people are good and evil. Things are happening. That guy's super tall, whatever, and, but when I start thinking about, sort of gaps or discrepancies and stuff, I'm like, it could pull me out of it. And you know what? That's not why I'm watching a movie. I'm not watching a movie so that I can pick it apart.
I saw Lord of the Rings about right when I read them, if not some overlap between the movies and all that. And I just remember sometimes something would happen. I'd be like, what about that 800 pages about that sword? Like, or something like that. You're like, I'm supposed to spend 6 months learning about that guy. He just walked by. But what are you going to do? Make 20? Maybe that's why I like The Mandalorian, because it slows down. It's not I don't know if it's based on comics or anything, but I like that it's.
No, to my knowledge, Mandalorian is based on is whole cloth, and it's just a cowboy. It's just a cowboy show set in space, and it's good times. As far
I tell
as
you,
I'm
this Jon
concerned.
Favreau, if he sticks with it, I think he's really got a shot of making it in this town. As long as he continues to produce the largest entities for the largest company.
Maybe next time. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he can get Passion of the Christ or something. Maybe he can. I want him
really
to
stretch that story out so we can see how it evolves beyond 2 hours.
Yeah. What about the missing years? Huh? How about that Lamb of God book? Turn that into something.
But what did he do in those 3 days? Mel didn't cover it.
So now I want to get back to St. Vincent, and I want to get back to Annie Clark.
I think Jesus is a good connection to get back to St. Vincent. I think we
right, because
around.
we're going with Jesus, Prince, and now we're back, you guys. Annie Clark. So she also writes the lyrics, and are the songs. How many albums? If she's been doing it now 14, 15 years, right? How many albums do they have?
6.
Okay.
Maybe 5. If you, it depends on what you're registering the David. She did a collaborative album with David Byrne, a full album. So she has 5, and then she has this 6th one with him.
Okay. And she wrote most of the music or wrote most of the lyrics?
As far as I know, I don't know who did what on, once again, that collaborative album, but as far as I know, there's a song where the lyrics were written by her sister and a couple songs where she's working with people, but it's sort of all roads travel through Annie Clark for this music.
Right,
and what was she used to be just a member of a band called the Polyphonic Spree, which
I remember them.
Yeah, they have 8,000 people in their band.
Yeah.
And one of them just happened to be her.
Okay.
And some other people who've done some nice things, but
Sure. I'm sure
no
everybody
one
is
who's
still
risen
working
to
at
like,
some, to
yes.
Annie Clark level.
Right.
Did she win any of the Grammys or anything? Do people know about her? Like, am I a latecomer?
I wouldn't say you're a latecomer for just getting on board. As far as I know, she gets nominated for Best Alternative Album for her last couple ones. Some smaller things of like Best Newcomer and stuff like that. It's funny when someone's like 9 years in and they're like, time for your newcomer award.
Yeah. It's you shot to stardom after
But she
12
won a
years
Grammy
of
for her
grinding
last
it out.
album, and then I think her album prior also was nominated or won Best Rock or whatever the vague category that they they don't want to I don't know, when you're not big enough and they
Right.
just put you in something else.
And you're not, and it isn't obviously folk, right? And it's
Yes.
not obviously
Yeah.
something
So
else.
alt or rock or something like that. But
Right.
she gets good critical and mass reviews. She seems to be pretty much universally no one doesn't really get it, I guess.
Okay.
And she's really been growing and growing. And the David Byrne thing sort of shot her. That was like 2012. Sort of shot her into. I went to see her and David Byrne on tour, and it was legitimately 50% people who looked like me. It was in Brooklyn, and then 50% people who looked like me in 30 years. Like that was everybody who was there. And so I'm kind of getting into. I like David Byrne, the Talking Heads. I've never gone. It's never been what I've like obsessed with. But it was
Right.
They played each other's music. It was kind of fun. But you're just sort of like seeing everyone like, oh, that guy still dresses like I do now. And
right.
stuff like that while you're looking
right,
around.
but he's 25 years older than I am.
Yeah.
So I see. It's I'm going to hold on to this.
Yeah.
So what are your are there favorite songs musically and favorite songs lyrically that you have?
Maybe not lyrically. Sometimes I the thing that really happened to me with St. Vincent was I never listened to a ton of music made for me growing up. I listened to my dad and my mom's records, which the newest thing would be like the Eagles, right?
Oh.
It was like we're talking, and which I love. It was
Sure.
like Tom Petty, the Eagles, even like a little older with like Zeppelin and that sort of stuff. And then
Yes.
and that
Did
sort
they
of
listen
stuff.
to Yes?
Yes was in there.
That is, I believe, it is prog rock. There you go.
Yeah, nothing newer than like ELO. That is like
Okay.
Electric Light Orchestra would be. So I would listen to their stuff and then listen to the radio with them and be like Bob Seger and Southern rock, and then into like early 80s old rock and like classic rock. And then throughout middle school, I didn't really have a CD player. I kind of wouldn't really get into like the music that was made for people my age. And then, a little bit, but nothing. I never really had my stuff and anything that I would listen to that wasn't my parent. And when I went to college, I lived in a room in the dorm in 2006 next to just the hipsteriest, like shoegazingest, like tiniest, my height but 100 pounds less, like wafy thin man who happened to share a birthday with me.
Okay.
Same day and same year, who's still one of my best friends. I was at his wedding recently.
Right.
Recently, the month before the pandemic, so a year and a half ago. But so he was so into all this stuff, and there's like we were talking, and he would be like, watch Garden State, and there's like the Shins and the music that makes you feel. And then we started a radio show at the college radio station. We had shows on this college radio station, which is like a very picturesque college thing.
Where did you go to college?
University of Missouri, which is also a very picturesque school. It's like old buildings and columns and vines, and we're in the basement doing our radio show. And basically he would play music for me that I've never heard of.
Right.
And I would tell him whether or not I liked it. And then I got to, he would be like, do you like this? And I'd be like, yes. Do they have any more albums? And he's like, yeah, they're called Radiohead. They have like a bunch of music. So this is exciting for you. And then St. Vincent was the first thing he played that it clicked with me on such a level of like, this is something that was made. I don't know. It just hit with me and made it feel like I was supposed to be hearing that right then.
Yeah.
And it was nice to catch, but also to catch like her first album and then be able to like wait for the second. I'd never been able to like, oh my God, I've heard all of the music this musician I love has made.
Right.
And I can hear more of this. And so then I get to start the normally it's like I like the Eagles. Well, they got 9,000 songs and then now they're done making them too.
Right.
And this was, it really felt like I got to come of age with the musician coming of age.
In real time.
In real time, which had never happened to me before.
What's the name of her first album?
Marry Me, is what's going to be the oldest. And that's 2007 it would have been like my first year out of the dorms. And so
that's the first one you heard.
This came out and he's like, you might like this. We're playing like the CD and the thing. It's very romanticized because it was romantic. It's taking a CD that was sent to you to listen to on your college radio station, putting it in the disc, pushing it into the thing, and then tracking over and playing it out to God knows how few people.
Right. handfuls of humanity.
And then sort of like this. So while I love the music and I think she's very unique, and her guitar is, I got these guitars behind me, you can see. Yep. And her guitar it sounds like her. It only sounds like her. And that's where I think I always equated her to Prince in my head, is her music sounds like Annie Clark making music. It doesn't sound like anyone else. It just sounds like her. And it's great.
That's amazing.
And then how it got to come up with time, and I would go see her live and sort of like follow, and you see this evolution of what she's doing, and then watching her music evolve into becoming more popular, maybe not more pop, but it definitely started off, it's like technologically progressive without diminishing the manual labor that goes into the music. Now she's a little bit more electronic now, but at no point does it not look like the music was made via blood and sweat.
Right. Okay. And were you to make, and I should have when I thought you were talking about St. Finney de Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought you were talking about a thrift store. I was like, well, I'm not going to have to ask him anything about how he feels about color coding used clothing. Anyway,
right. So, where does plaid go? Does it go by the main color? I have opinions on that as well.
But my real question is, so if you were to make me an 8-song, are there 8 songs that you could make on a Spotify list of her?
I would have to start at 16 and painfully cut one at a time off.
Right. Talk to me about it. I had Murray Valeriano on, and he gave me 120 U2 songs,
right.
which is when the 8-song rule began. That is when I do a music episode. You could only send me 8 songs.
I can't fathom cutting 112 out of anything. That's wild to me. I can't cut 112 seconds out of an hour set.
Here's the good news: is he gave it to me on a USB stick, and then I had a really big USB stick once I cleared it.
That's fine.
Because I'm a dick. So
I thought he would give it to you how Apple gave it to you, which is just having it appear on your phone without your permission.
Oh, that still happens. And
yeah.
So
I could probably do this. I might even be able to do this in real time.
Yeah, give me sort of a couple of songs offhand that are your faves.
So my favorite song of hers is probably a song called Cheerleader. It is, I don't really know the best way to describe it, I suppose. But it's as good as it gets for her. It's got like, she sort of has this like just offbeat drum. It's not anything wildly unique, but instead of like bum, 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 it'll be like bum, ba bum, bum, ba bum, ba. And so it's like, it's a great song. The song itself is sort of about, no longer wanting to just be in, to me, the person's shadow. Maybe you're in a relationship with, maybe you're not just following someone along.
Yeah.
But you want to like kind of break out and do your own thing.
Yeah.
So that's my number one. That's what I would probably listen to. But every time I go through these things,
right,
I'm like, well, actually, this is the best one. Actually, this is the best one. Like it's anytime I click on any of the songs, I'm like, this is the one I'm actually most excited about.
Well, the lyrics are actually pretty great. Like I just brought it up, and it was what pops out, of course, is I've played dumb when I knew better, tried so hard just to be clever. I know honest thieves I call family. I've seen America with no clothes on. I mean, that's poetry, man. That's
it's a very poetic song. It's probably my most played for her. And
yeah.
that album in particular, Strange Mercy, would if I was cornered into picking one,
yeah,
which would be tough. That's probably where I would land. If I had to just land
I have
on one.
absolutely never approved of you're on a desert island, which oddly enough has electricity, and you only have one album.
Right, and you're not allowed to spend any of your time figuring out how to get off with said electricity.
Right, and you have electricity, and you have a refrigerator because you have a meal that you have to eat there for the rest of your life, and you're like, oh Christ. Anyway, so but that's yeah, this seems I would play this song music, except for YouTube would kick us off, would shut it down almost immediately.
Yeah, when you were 109 songs into a YouTube playlist, they probably started flagging the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the next one? What's another one?
I would say, I mean, I kind of just want to live on that album.
Yeah.
But Strange Mercy, the title track from that one as well, is another one that I love that gets a lot of plays. It's
what's it I don't
really know how to describe exactly what. So this one in particular,
I've absolutely never. This one
in particular, I never really knew what it was about, but actually figured out what it was was told.
Yeah.
That it has to do about her father going to prison.
Oh,
and
wow.
sort of how her family reacts with that. And it's got. It has this crazy line where she talks about people equating the way she looks to the way her father looks, where she says her Hemingway jawline looks just like his, our father in exile for God knows only how many years. But when you see him wave through double pane. And I'm like, that's such a wild imagery to think about, is like looking like your dad and not being able to see your dad. And then if you're looking at your dad through glass.
And it's slightly distorted.
And it's going to be distorted and reflective at the same time.
Yeah.
And then in the same song, she talks about she doesn't know what it says. If I ever met the dirty policeman who roughed you up, oh, I don't know what. So then there's this other. She isn't choosing. She's on her father's side. She's not saying he's innocent at any point. And I don't know what her dad did. But she is sort of. It's just an interesting point of view to think about it, and especially in this type of music, it's not like the kind of thing that you see very often, but I like this song a lot.
That's great. Could you hear the helicopter go by in the background of, I live in Van Nuys, which is it's a golden age to be a helicopter pilot right now in Van Nuys.
Man, if I could, I don't know what LA would do with less helicopters interrupting. Probably the exact same stuff they do now, because I don't know if they're doing anything.
It would be. I don't think they're doing anything except for teaching guys how to fly low, like it's going to be Hanoi next year, and so in 72. But but what I do, I here's what I was going to say though, is that I wish that I had a vision of how the song sounds, and
this one for her is almost ballady, slower, just a drum, some
roller
guitar.
Skating
she
backwards?
frequently does this. She frequently not that kind of ballady, not like 80s ballady, because it's not uplifting. But more, I guess, singer-songwritery, but in her way, where there's still a lot going on, but more stripped down compared to some of her other songs.
Right. It's I'm gonna do this and then probably regret it, but maybe just for a second, just play a little bit of it.
Sure.
And see. And it's in the background, so
yeah, that's okay.
Hopefully it won't. Okay. You know what?
It'll freak you out, but every time, I literally get goosebumps at the beginning of that song every single time. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not the first person to be like, isn't music crazy how it transports you away? Like, the thing is that I just get music more than most people. I'm not that person at all. I'm the person screaming, we're all like that and are lucky.
Right. It's we're very much so. It's music can literally, it can blow our minds, and we forget how much it can blow our minds until we hear something that really resonates with us, or really, you're like, what is that? I'm not even kidding. I think I don't know why I would be embarrassed to say that. I host a show and have for 14 years called the Dork Forest. So absolutely no one thinks I'm cool. So literally what I've been listening to for the last 11 months is the soundtrack to Frozen 2.
Okay.
And and right before that, the year before that, I was listening to and I'll say her name wrong, I'm sure, it was Sarah Bareilles. And the name of the album, I think, is Brave. And there's at least 4 songs off of that literally every time I hear them, I stand up a little taller. You know, I feel a little more in my body.
Yeah.
Like I feel a little more in the moment, which is such a weird thing that music can sometimes do for me.
It doesn't, it is, I don't think musicians think comedy and music are the same thing. They think
what
audiences react to this the same way. If you've ever done shows of musicians, they're just like, go. Every comedian is like, let me go first, please.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to go after the music. And every musician's like, we'll just put you up in between a couple bands. And you're like, you don't understand, the worst of that is harder to follow than the best of me.
Right, right. Spoken me yucking it up here with my little jokety jokes, and then you're gonna play an instrument, and the savage beast is going to be soothed. There's absolutely
if you like dick puns, you're gonna love the greatest thing humans have ever discovered.
Right. I have got a cock ring joke for you. But other than that, you're going to want to hear that guy play the piano. And it's so the instruments on that I heard from the 11 seconds that I played were guitar, and then her voice has this sort of mellow vibe to it that feels that does feel a little folky.
She that is her voice, and that wasn't like an especially different sounding song, even if all the instrumentals are. A lot of her songs will start off with sort of this mellow tone and kind of sounds like a drug to help you sleep, and kind of will eventually they'll have a mellow tone in them. Okay. And then eventually build to what is like a cacophony of organized sound, almost like every single song is an accelerating vehicle, and then some hit something, some veer, some miss, and some slow down, but very rarely do they slow down.
Oh, okay.
She just a lot of the songs are a continual increase in energy through
they
to
just
the
keep
end.
ramping up.
If you could play like 5 radios at the same time, but it sounds like music, that's what some of the songs sound like at the end, because it becomes this, everyone is involved. This synthesizer is playing this guitar is being held up near an amp playing this. It's real wild. And a lot of songs do start with that slower sort of pace. It's that like the song that we were just listening to for a few seconds.
Let me here's the end of that song, like the last.
Well, it's not the best complete example.
Okay.
Let me think of I'm trying to think of a good like chaos at the end sort of one.
Right. Well, that feels pretty chaotic. Like it had layers that and this is an interesting feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to be excited about the fact that I'm sharing things. And here, look at that. That's the name of that's the album right there.
Yeah, the album art is pretty interesting as well.
That is neat. That looks like it's just a like full on whitewashed on the inside of her mouth, and then like 4
like a
teeth.
face pushing through some sort of
latex or something.
Latex, like what a glove would be made of, is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. Do you know why the band's called St. Vincent?
I don't. It's never, I actually am not sure. I'm sure there's some incredible reason or just no reason at all. But
right, because it's one of those games of name a band, like it always feels pretty arbitrary, I remember when I realized that the Beatles, the BEAT was a beat.
Oh, yeah.
Beatles.
Oh, I had a college degree before I realized that, in English, too, which is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with wordplay, and I heard that, and it made me a little less obsessed with it.
It made me go, I think I learned it in the last 5 years, and I'm 100 years old. So, but it was like, I was like, okay, all right. And so, okay, so we got 2 songs. We got Cheerleader. We got Strange
Yeah.
Mercy.
I think I'm going to allow myself to pick maybe a third. God.
Different album?
No, I'm going to pick Cruel just so you can have some sort of, it's on the same album. That way you can have some sort of, this I would call a single. This sounds like a single. It has a hook.
Oh, yeah?
It has this is the singlest of any song you're going to get off of there, but still builds to a cool thing.
And does she get much radio play?
No. I mean, for her, like, this was a single for her. I wouldn't call this, like, Ariana Grande wouldn't play this song. Like, this wouldn't be like something on like a real pop album.
Right.
But this is the closest she would have had to a single off of this album. I do think her last couple albums have had a little more radio play with the songs that are more singles.
Right. So Bodies, Can't You See What Everybody Wants From You? What? For You Could Want That Too. They could take or leave you, so they took you and they left you. How could they be casually cruel? Bodies, Can You See What Everybody Wants From You? If you could want that too, then you'd be happy.
I always kind of read this as, and this is, I'm not the person to for sure say this is what the song is about, but it kind of strikes me as like a society throwing away women.
Oh, right, because of body image and all those things.
Yeah.
And you'll be happy to know that that men are freaking out. That they've been working for the last 15 years, 20 years to try to get men to freak out about any sort of the whole 6-pack thing. It's every dude's got to have it, otherwise he's clearly a hunk of junk of a human. And,
well, that was but it was a very male thing to then make dad bods cool. They're like, what's cool is less effort.
Bam! I will see your 6-pack with a dad bod.
Yeah.
And it's white supremacy trying to take it back. Take back the night, white guys. Take back the night.
But this song had this lyric that says they could take or leave you, so they took you and they left you. Mm-hmm. How could they be casually cruel? And I'm like, that to me is kind of hard to interpret any other way, I suppose.
Yeah, like, it's true, especially
it's the play on
talk.
words with take it or leave it, but then she's like, those were the options. So they took what they wanted and they left you.
Yeah. That is she kind of there's a certain spareness to lyrics that I love these days,
She has never had an extra word. I think it's almost like how some good comedians are. Where it's like what's it called? Word. I can't even. I'm not even. You could tell how little I edit jokes. Where I'm like, what's it called when they use the minimal amount of words? And I'm like rambling on about trying to come up with minimalism. Word economy. She has very good word economy.
Okay. Yeah. She really does. It actually looks pretty on the page. When you see a poem written out, or when you see lyrics written out, or when you even see a joke written out, you can go, that doesn't have an extra word in it. That doesn't feel like it's done anything but its job, which is to express a feeling or information, I suppose. My husband would pipe up here and say, that's what directions for playing board games should look like.
Sometimes you explain all the directions to a board game, and then everyone still goes, all right, we just got to play it and figure it out.
I would say every time.
Code names, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, look behind you. He's right behind you, code names. And it's, but it is so interesting because what I've realized, actually, probably in the last, probably 10 years, maybe less, is that a lot of the funniest lines in that I've heard not in comedy have been in songs. Just sort of, and that's true too with beautiful, like poetry, like something like lyrically, just with some really great imagery, just done in like 2 lines. There's that. I mentioned it before, I'm sure, is the Janelle Monáe has a line where she just says, "Get off my areola." And she is angry. She would like you to get off her nipple.
Yeah.
And it is so evocative of, it comes from like that sort of dude ball busting kind of thing. And then it also, but it's super feminine, but it's also incredibly succinct.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and it's fun to say, so
Yeah.
it's got everything in a line that makes you kind of bark with laughter and just go, yeah, all right. Oh, all right. It's
Yeah, that is. I love that. I love that areola is more syllables than get off my. I don't know why. It's so when everything. This is a true. I count every syllable.
do
It's like
you?
an obsessive compulsive thing that I have. When things are
Interesting.
happening, if I'm really engaged, it's made watching television difficult for me. Sometimes if I'm very relaxed, I won't do it. But if I'm like uh sort of like brain click on, like on stage click on, or like now
Right.
click on, I'm when you say get off my areola, I'm chopping that sentence in half, finding out there's no half to it, and loving that more than half of it is one word.
Yeah. Okay. That's
And that's
awesome.
kind of it always sort of breaks down like that.
Will you
I
enjoy
don't, yeah,
will
it's
you
been tough.
enjoy a well, I was going to say, are there TV shows that you watch knowing that that's going to happen and you think to yourself,
It's sort of, it doesn't happen from like a an analysis standpoint a lot. It happens just purely from I need things to feel balanced.
"Oh, so you're
And
just
so,
click so
yeah,
you're just essentially click 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 click. You're just counting people
in
walking into
fives,
the
yes.
Wow. I do not recommend the program Deadwood. Uh
Because I
that
got there's that's all slurring together syllables. That is
it's
a lot of running it back and turning on captions.
right, it's essentially Shakespeare done in Old West, so
Well,
it's
yeah.
but
And
iambic
plus,
pentameter,
cocksucker never comes out to an even syllable
that is
amount. Even they say it
no.
every two words.
Every two words, you would think they would add up to something even. Nope.
The show didn't even the show didn't even add up. They can't. I haven't watched the movie yet. I did really really enjoy the show though.
Yeah, the show was amazing. I saw most of it and then it got a little too dark for me, weirdly enough.
Mhm.
And but there's plenty of shows that are not. It's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of programming out there, it
I
turns out.
really love that. It's like you guys aren't gonna believe this, but Jackie told me that there's a bunch of shows.
You guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you turn that box on in your
Yeah,
living room, it
a bunch of
which
stuff on there.
and guess what? Nobody's got a box in their living room anymore, Jackie. So it's a flat screen and it's probably their laptop. But the okay, so pick number 4. Let's just go to it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Oh, are we on number 4 now?
Yeah, we're on because we
Okay,
got
so this is from
Cheerleader,
her.
Strange Mercy,
Yeah,
and Cruel.
yeah. This is from her self-titled album, which was not her first album. This album was third, I want to say. It's hard for me to think about it. Fourth. This was fourth. It was after the David Byrne thing,
Oh, okay.
which I'm not adding into one of them. This is
Okay.
a song's called Digital Witness, and this is like, well, maybe not one of her 8 favorite songs for me. This is like the first song that this just blew up. This song was a single. This song was maybe even on regular radio instead of just like 88.1 KCRW or something
Right,
like
right.
that. It's a great song. This song's about being on your phone too much. I don't think it's quite as personal as maybe some of the other things, but
Sure.
boy, does it sound awesome. It is a rock of a rock song. It's got like guitars and brass and bass and electronic and real drums, and it just sort of like pushes and pushes and builds into this thing as well. Great song. Great
Right.
song.
Right.
Kind of once again does the thing that she likes to do, which is say the point of the song a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Her lyrics could fit on a note card sometimes for an entire song.
Oh, right, because
And
it's repeating 3 stanzas over and over again or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And but this talks about what's the point of even sleeping if I can't show, if you can't see me, that sort of thing. It's not subtle, but it is well put.
No, it does not. It doesn't seem particularly subtle. It's interesting. I was talking to Maria Bamford and Rush Tix about possibly doing a show where the camera's on Maria while she sleeps.
Okay.
And I was like, that's money on the table, people.
Yeah.
Everyone will pay for that. There will be any number of people who will give you $15 to just
Right.
tune back in for 8 hours of Bamford Crash sacked
It's
out.
fun to be like, it's the Truman Show, except the wake parts aren't there.
Right. Hopefully, I wonder. I only saw parts of that movie. Did they show him sleeping? Like, could you tune in while he was sleeping?
That was sort of, I think the beginning of it was that he
Implied?
woke up, like at the
Okay.
beginning, so you sort of see the world that you're in. That's some. I like those movies where comedians played serious things. I tend to think
Sure.
comedians seem to have more emotional range than lots of movie stars.
Yeah. I have a theory, just because I am one, is that comics can do tragedy really, really well, and then also make a tragic story funnier. Because it's harder to learn comedy than it is to learn, because we all have tragedy.
Yes.
So
that makes so much sense.
yeah. So if you think about the great comedic actors playing, even the dirtbag that is Jerry Lewis, he so clearly, when he is given the reins to play something where he takes himself super seriously, entirely believable. Entirely believable.
It really, really keeps coming up where people are like, man, I can't believe that comedian was so good in that movie. I can't believe Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader were so good in this. I can't believe Robin Williams was so good in this. And I'm just like, this is the thing I can believe. What I can't believe is that that Thor is funny. That's what right. impresses me. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Yeah,
Thor
turns
is
out
funny.
Chris Hemsworth can be funny? Wait, I would not have called that. I would not have called that.
That's a bigger turn for me than Steve Carell can be sad. I'm like, look at him. He was he started in comedy. He was sad to start with.
Right. This guy had to get over things and to find the funny in any number of things that were painful.
Yeah.
So Chris Hemsworth, you would think that would be an empty vessel. Just
Right.
because he is so enormously handsome, that you would have thought that someone was handing him 20s under the table the whole time, and could phone it in. But he's actually, like, I follow him on Instagram just for the pictures. But he actually will do some. I'm kidding. Just for the. He'll do these tiny videos that are. He's just a very silly, smart guy. He's a smart and silly goof of a giant human being.
That I always love.
Yeah,
I love any of the switcheroos. It's fun when they're funny enough to where the joke isn't Chris Hemsworth's funny. He's funny enough to like carry. I thought Ragnarok was one of the funniest movies I'd ever seen. He's funny enough to just be funny instead of having to be like, isn't it hilarious how the hot guy's funny?
Right. And there was a little bit of that in the new Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Where he was, the hot guy is kind of funny or kind of dumb, but he did a little bit more with it than necessary.
I agree.
There's so much more. It's just a relief that everyone gets to be a whole person. It's nice. It's nice to see it, Kyle Ayers.
Let's all meet in the middle where we feel more than one thing. Instead of funny person clown, hot person sad.
Right. It's, and I have to say that I do like Melissa McCarthy makes me laugh so hard, because she'll also do like physical comedy, and she's playing from this place of the straight man, right? So she's incredibly serious in The Heat, for example, where she's like, well, she's talking about Sandra Bullock is wearing pajamas, and she's like, what's wrong with your pantsuit? And the words are ridiculous, but she's delivering them with a gravitas that makes you just giggle, because you're like, oh. And she's also like sort of the weird love interest of at least 3 passersby, like these dudes at the bar that keep approaching her, and she's like, and she's clearly a mess of a human being, but they don't depict it as her mess is all inside. And it's not the fact that what she looks like. It's not her body. It's not the fact that her hair is a rat's nest.
Yeah.
She's broken indoors. Indoors, she is just a violent, hilarious crusader of a human being that would be impossible to hang out with in real life. But but that was somehow attractive to at least 3 dudes in the movie, and it was that which that they were attracted to. I've digressed.
Yeah, but she is. I think. I mean, I've gone on rants and rants about this on my podcast before. Comedy doesn't get near the notoriety that it deserves for being a quality art form, and especially in the acting form. I will stand by Rachel McAdams should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Mean Girls. I think that there are things that no one else can do, or like doing these things. Anyone can pretend to be Abe Lincoln. Anyone can pretend to be J. Edgar Hoover and wear makeup. It's very hard to tap into a thing and actually be really funny like that. And
it's actually it's what sort of annoyed me about Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman 84.
I haven't seen that yet. I love the posters. I didn't want everyone said it wasn't great, and I just want to continue to love the advertising.
And there were some great scenes in it. Not just one like Darth Maul, but more than one. There were probably 4 or 5 great scenes in Wonder Woman 84. But there was and they were mostly the ones that did not occur in the 80s and the ones not with Kristen Wiig, because there was one that was okay with Kristen Wiig, but here's what happened with Kristen Wiig. You've employed Kristen Wiig, and then you don't use Kristen Wiig. You don't use her strengths.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to climb into the movie and strangle somebody, because at 2 points, they come into a scene in Wonder Woman where Kristen Wiig where someone says, she's so funny, but at no time is she allowed to be funny in the movie.
Don't worry, it's only the funniest person alive.
It's only someone who could make lemonade out of oranges.
It's almost more upsetting because they also took her away from making something else. Like, she could have been spending that 8 months making something that we all would have laughed at.
Oh my God. It could have been. I was like, is there something on the cutting room floors that was too dirty for a Wonder Woman movie or something? What happened? Where's the comedy?
Oh, wow.
So Digital Witness. This is
we're halfway there.
We're meandering around and we're almost at an hour. But I mean, the thing is I kind of like a Dork Forest like this, where we kind of really get into because you've never been on the show before. We're getting to know you, Kyle Ayers.
Yeah.
Everyone should know, by the way, that he has a lovely new album out called Happiness on Blonde Medicine and a podcast. What's the podcast name?
The podcast is called Never Seen It. I have comedians rewrite famous movies they have never seen.
Huh. Godfather 2. Would you like me to come on?
I've never seen any of them.
I've only seen Godfather 1. I assume Godfather 2 is just them being mean to each other some more.
Godfather 2 starts interior Italy. So like he was saying, it just immediately picks up. I haven't. One time I read all of The Godfather as a bit on Twitch. I read the entire script, and people could donate $1 to help me skip a page of the script. And so I've never seen it, but I have read most of the script out loud.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So Never Seen It is your podcast, and Happiness is the album, and it's Kyle Ayers, and it's spelled Ayers. And let's see what's song number 6.
All right, this song is called The Strangers. This song is off of Actor, which is number 2 for her is in the album world. I'm still in college, so it's probably 2009, maybe 2010. This song, I have no idea what it's about. And
really?
She says this thing, she repeats this line probably 20 times in the song called Paint the Black Hole Blacker, but it's sort of like a background instrument, like where some of her songs would have a riff that's like do. This one is her voice singing this song. It's almost like a parenthetical to the entire song.
Right.
No idea what it's about. It's some weird song about, there's only like 20 other words in it, like 10 other lines, I think, in total.
Let's unpack it. Let's see what it looks like. Lover, I don't play to win. Befall the thrill until I'm spent. Paint the black hole blacker. Paint the black hole blacker. I threw flowers in your face on my sister's wedding day. Paint the black hole blacker. You showed up with a black eye looking to go start a fight. Playboy's under your mattress like I wouldn't notice. What do I share? What do I keep from all the strangers who sleep where I sleep? What do I keep from all the strangers who sleep where I sleep? Desperate don't look good on you, neither does your virtue. Good souls have won better sons. Better sons were worse once. What do I share? You showed up with a black eye looking to finish a fight. Lover, I don't play to win. This is interesting. Literally, just I'm willing to opine on this one. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
do
say
it.
I'm gonna say that that this is that she's like, I'm gonna make this worse. You can't make this worse because I'm gonna make this worse. It's just gonna I'm gonna sleep with strangers. I'm gonna ruin my sister's wedding day. I'm just gonna hang out until I have an orgasm. I'm gonna notice that there's some Playboys under your mattress. And so why would I hang out with you anymore? And what do I keep from all the strangers who sleep where I sleep? And desperate doesn't look good on you, neither does virtue. That seems negative. Seems like she's trying to figure out why she's kind of a mess.
Yeah. But not really like apologetically a mess, just
At
kind of
all.
I'm a mess. And you know what? Why don't we lean into being this mess?
Right, I'm gonna lean into it because paint the black hole blacker. It feels a little Amy Winehouse. I don't want to go to rehab.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. All right, what about number 7?
So this next one's actually going to be 2 songs counting as one. Now, like I said, a lot of these aren't what I think are these 2 play as one song to me. She has songs called New York and a song called Los Ageless, which is a play on Los Angeles. And these are both from Mass Seduction, which is a more recent album.
Yeah.
And New York is sort of like a ballad to New York and to New York. This is my crazy deep interpretation. The song called New York has to do with the city. No, but it sort of seems to have to do with a relationship that she specifically associates with there, where I think a lot of people have. New York is like an existence in everything that is there is like a self-contained existence of New York to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what she talks about. She talks about the city changing, someone there who is changing. And then she says she's like lost a hero, she's lost a friend, but for them, she would do it all again. And so it's sort of like this, I think with a lot of people, New York is 6 years of their life or 10 years of their life.
Mm-hmm.
That exists, especially a lot of like artistic people, and then they sort of like seem to adjust. And then Los Angeles pun, which once again is right in my wheelhouse, is like, and New York could almost be one person at a piano. It isn't, but it almost could be.
Okay.
And then Los Angeles is a rock song, and it is electronic, and it is guitars, and it is upbeat, and it is explosive. And these songs back to back are sort of a one strikes me as like a winter in New York when it's just snowed and nothing's been touched and it's beautiful. And then talking about even Los Angeles talks about the song from New York or the lyrics to the previous song. And so this seems to be like the next maybe era in her life. And she's talking about winter never comes, mothers milk their young, which I see as like a children acting thing. Instead of mothers giving milk to their young, they milk them.
I see. Yeah.
And then this has maybe what I think are the best. The way that she does a line of lyrics in this song, I think is just perfect. I think it's like a perfect thing someone does, where she says, this is 3 lines in a row. How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you and not lose their mind too? And so it's like, that's a whole relationship.
Yeah.
In 3 lines. Like, I can't believe someone could have you. And then I can't believe someone would fuck this up.
Right.
And then I can't believe someone would fuck this up and not go crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay. That at number 8?
Okay. Well, those ones are, let me think. Number 8. I might just have to figure out this one.
This is your last one, and we're at an hour, my friend. So
I know I've got
really
timed out is
it.
pulled up. Okay. Well, then we're gonna have to, let me think. Last one.
I ate into your hour though, so we're gonna give you like 10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, this is tough. A Cheerleader is already on here.
Yep, we got. Let's do a recap. Cheerleader, Strange Mercy, Cruel. And then Digital Witness, The Strangers, New York, and Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think?
Okay, we got to do something off the first album, just because I don't think we have anything off of "Marry Me," and not Paris is Burning. Well, I would say maybe even the title "Marry Me" off of "Marry Me."
Okay. Is it as
This
in
is sort of
MERRY or MAR?
MA.
Okay, Marry Me. Okay.
So this kind of is like a starts once again piano, builds up to like this weird sort of like not like polka, but like it I don't really know the best way to describe it. But it's just sort of it's really early her. It's right to a person. It's once again pretty explicit and pretty simple. Marry me, John. I'll be so sweet to you. You won't realize I'm gone. I'll be so good to you. You won't realize I'm gone. I like when artists do this thing where they adjust. I'll be so sweet to you. I'll be so good to you. You won't realize I'm gone. You won't realize I've gone. So she sort of like tweaks lines.
Yeah.
And it's just it's kind of a nice like it's a little simpler. It's very early for her. And then I would wrap with that one.
Kind of tells a story. Yeah. And that's is it rocky or is it ballady?
Ballady into like dun dun dun. Ballady almost into like what is her name? Almost like if Regina Spektor plugged in the guitar.
Okay.
In a good, and I mean that is all compliments to everyone involved. It seems to be the time that maybe she would get influence from that because it's like 2007 or whatever.
Yeah.
Vector was everywhere. I would end with this one.
That's amazing. So St. Vincent, you guys, is a band, and the front person is Annie Clark. And we got 8 tracks. 8 tracks that'd be pretty sweet. If you wanted to, and I'm looking forward to actually listening to some of this when we get off. But I don't know. I love a deep dive into a one band, and this has been fascinating, Kyle. So
good music videos too. If people really like that stuff, she has a lot of fun. If you can imagine that David Byrne world person making music videos, of course they're fun and colorful. They're fun and colorful.
Cool. That's outstanding as well. I love that. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the Dork Forest.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Everybody, it's at Kyle Ayers, AYERS, everywhere. The new album is called Happiness. His podcast is called Never Seen It. And good times. Good times. And like I always say, Rangers, take care of each other out there.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?